And so, uh, yep. Uh, and we are running this talk in order to promote our YarConf 2023, which is going to take place in Yaroslav, and Anita and Alexei is going to be there. Lena, are you going to be at YarConf in Yaroslav?
I think no, since I live in Kazakhstan.
Since you live, there are flights from Astana, I know. Yeah, I can book a flight for you if you wish. So I can assist
We'll
you
see.
in doing that. So okay, I mean, we fly to Kazakhstan, so you can fly to us as well. And Anita is repeating her brilliant plenary talk she gave at ERConf some time ago, and it's on authentic materials, isn't it, Anita?
Well, define authentic materials then.
Yeah, and according to the schedule, we had 10 minutes to introduce the speaker, and now the speaker has been introduced, I guess. And Anita, you can start your talk. Again, we would appreciate your cameras on, if possible. Thank you. Hello and welcome. So I'm giving the floor to Anita Modestova.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Dmitry, for introducing me. Like every time I dread Dmitry's introduction because he might, say something unexpected. But I'm very happy to see everybody. I just don't know. Shall we give maybe a minute or so for everybody to join? I can see people are joining because of the link. Sorry, everybody. There was something with the link. It only worked for Dmitry and me. So it was a super uninclusive link that wanted us maybe to give us
private banking, they say.
Yeah, maybe the tech felt we need some privacy, and just chat and hang out. Okay, very happy to see everybody. Alexei's definitely seen this talk, heard this talk live, and I just actually rewatched my talk in Yaroslav. It was 2 years ago. Oh, I didn't even change the year on the slide. I would really appreciate the cameras on. Seriously, if you can, guys, that would be really, really helpful, because a talk is usually about interaction. Oh, hi, for some reason, I didn't recognize you with your name and last name, and now I recognize you definitely with your face, absolutely. And I know Lena, she's been a very active participant of Teachers Teach Teachers these days, so yay. Yeah, we can see you there. So if you can, please do, no matter what's your background, what you have on camera.
It does matter a bit, Anita.
It does matter for the recording, but it doesn't really matter for me. So we have conflicting interests here with the Dmitry Nikitin's skull. Right, and oh, there are babies. Okay, super. So lots of people, joining me today. Thank you for doing that. So I'm gonna start with my presentation and hope that you can see the slides. Can you? Okay, super. I'm gonna also open the chat. So if you'd like to communicate, share some thoughts, likes, dislikes, agrees, disagrees, Nadezhda, hi. I would really appreciate that, because I really like interacting with the audience. That's how I know that what I'm speaking about is relevant or not. My talk is called Authentic for the Classroom, but if you're expecting that I'll be speaking about the more like authentic, how to use authentic materials in class, that's not gonna happen. So we're gonna be discussing something else. I'm really curious why Alexei is here, because he's heard me already, but maybe he just wants to hear it again because it was a brilliant talk when I gave it 2 years ago. Yes? Okay, right, super. So I gave it this talk as a plenary talk for the conference in Yaroslav for the Dmitry Nikitin School practically 2 years ago, but the message, the ideas, like my belief in what I'm gonna say hasn't changed since then, and I don't think it's gonna change anytime soon. So if you are here to stay for all the talk and for the Q&A, so for about 45 minutes or not, like just let me know in the chat if you are staying here for the whole length of the talk. Let me know, just say hi in the chat, maybe which city you're from, the usual Zoom online introductions in the chat. That would be really nice. And if you work as a freelancer, or maybe you work for a school. So do let me know. I might maybe come up with some examples, you know, on the go that would fit your context a bit better than just general examples that I have. Okay, so let's go. I'm gonna start with walking down my memory lane. Exactly 10 years ago, as it happens, in April 2013, I was doing my CELTA in London. So if you have a CELTA, give me a wave, or just say like Dmitry Kitten is giving a wave. Nadezhda, I think, was giving a wave. Maybe I missed it. Yeah. So, or just type a plus in the chat if you have a CELTA. So this is how I started my teacher journey and my first like proper training on how to be the teacher. But like the thing I remember most from this experience, apart from just like, yay, I'm in London for the first time in my life, was the authentic materials lesson. Do you remember, if you have a CELTA, doing that? To me, it was quite a painful experience because that was the first time I really felt like I think just something's wrong, and maybe that experience also led it like to happen, like for this talk to happen like 8 years later. So when I came to London 10 years ago for the first time in my life, I was really fascinated with the London Underground. Like when I came later, a couple of years later, I was like not sure why, you know, I had been fascinating with it, but because like it's just regular metro, doesn't really come on time, not maybe the best one, but anyhow, my first time there, I was so excited about London Tube. So I thought I'd do the authentic material lessons for my students that I was teaching on CELTA about London Tube. The thing with CELTA is that you have some input in the morning, and in the evening you teach real students, real group. The thing is that like we didn't really know the people we were teaching because they would like show up, sometimes random people. So obviously I didn't know what they cared about. So I chose a text that I really wanted to talk about. That was about London Tube. And I found this text on a website, probably London Tube website or something. I found the text, and what I did, I copied the pictures and I copied the text and I made a really nice like layout on one page with the text. I do remember that the tutors told us, if you work with authentic materials, you need to copy the material as is. So if you're working with a website page, you need to do a screenshot of the text and put it on the page and print it for your students. The thing is, in that particular CELTA center, we had to pay for the materials that we were printing for our students. Imagine that. So I had to pay, like, there were like some like pennies, but they would add up to £1 eventually, you know, and it was quite expensive. So I thought, okay, there are like about 15 people or maybe more, 20 people in the group. I can print 2 pages if I do the screenshots, or I can print 1 page if I take the pictures, put it very nicely on the page, add the text, and have the same text that we'll be working with. So obviously I went for the 1-page option, and I remember the tutor telling me off for that. The tutor told me like, Anita, that's not the way you work with authentic materials, because what you did is not authentic anymore, because this is not how the students are gonna see it in real life. And I told him that basically, I mean, first of all, paper, like twice more, and money, which I don't have, you know, twice more. And he said like, yeah, I see the rationale. It's okay for the training experience, but it's not okay if you'll be teaching the real authentic materials lesson. So this is like my maybe most controversial memory from CELTA, because I was really confused, because basically the text that we were working with was exactly to be the same, because I just copied it. So back in 2013, I was doing my CELTA in London. Like 10 years later, I'm running my own school for language teachers. I train teachers to teach lexically. The school is called Teachers Teach Teachers. So if you are going to or used to be our participant, let me know in the chat with a plus, with a yes. Just let me know. So I run a school for teachers, and the main program that we do is actually Teachers Teach Teachers. We put teachers into groups of high levels, and once a month, a teacher from the group becomes the language teacher for the very same group. So everybody studies English in groups. It's just we don't hire a teacher. We kind of swap the teachers every month. And for these teachers who start their teaching term, we prepare them. We help them get ready for class. And I run the workshops for those teachers. So, and I've been running these workshops for about 2 years. Yay, we have some participants. Cool. Super nice to see you guys. Nice to see everybody, but especially TDT participants. Anyhow, I run these workshops for teachers, and every time, like basically what we do in those workshops, we take time to prepare their lessons together. And there is a bit of group planning where teachers come up with a lesson plan with their ideas, and then I kind of interfere and we discuss and we talk about this lesson. And there is something I noticed about lesson preparation, about things that teachers do while preparing in class. So mainly the ideas, like this is like the standard plan for the teachers when they actually prepare with a course book, because we study with outcomes, upper, intermediate, and advanced. They start with first, I don't know if the picture is really nice. I'm gonna change the picture in the book. So if you've ever changed the picture in the book, put a plus into the chat. I have many times, like I felt like maybe I'm gonna find a better picture than the book suggests. Then the second idea is usually like, oh, the text is maybe like not perfect. I'm gonna change the text. So you can change, you could and they change the text, like from the find a different one. Or like the most popular is like, oh, maybe I need to find a video that would actually, be talking about the very same topic. So if you've ever added like an extra video, brought a video to the class that you believe that was relevant for that particular lesson, let me know in the chat with the plus. Yeah, I can see that we like all guilty of that. Me too. I remember doing that. And then again, of course, you spend hours Googling for that video. So these are two maybe experiences, the CELTA one and the workshops with teachers getting ready for class together, that started me off on thinking, how do we work with material, what we bring in class, what is authentic, and like there are other things that I need to discuss. So like basically the controversy of all this. So Dmitry's introduced me already, but just hi everybody who joined. I'm Anita Modestova. I'm a psychologist, English teacher and business trainer. As a teacher, I specialize in teaching general English to adults, especially low levels. I manage Teachers Teach Teachers, which is a school for language teachers. And I also experiment with teaching Russian lexically. We experiment with Andrew Walkley, the co-author of the Outcome series and the co-author of Teaching Lexically. So I don't know, does anybody follow the Experimenta SRKI hashtag? Give me a wave, yes. Okay. Yeah, and Nadezhda, to my final, previous slide, Nadezhda says, and then you end up spending half a day getting ready for the night.
"19 minutes lesson, presumably," Anita was going to say. Everybody else is not frozen, right? Only Anita is frozen, right? Okay, good. We can watch Anita being frozen. You can talk to a partner sitting next to you. What's the weather like today? What's your favorite color and why? If you are an animal, what animal are you? All lovely stuff. So, if things go wrong, they shall go wrong. Is that a proverb in English or a saying? I only know positive proverbs. Anita is back.
Yeah, it just kicked me out of I don't know why. I was just maybe waving my hands too much. And
we have already discussed what flowers we are.
Oh, wow, you're so efficient.
Still a thistle, Anita. Still a thistle I am.
Okay, congratulations on that. Okay, am I back? Can you hear me all right? Because I'm not sure. I'm using my neighbor's internet at the moment.
You are
So,
back for
but
now with your
I
neighbor's
have
internet.
I have two more internet backup options, so no worries. The first one is gone. Now we're on the second one. Just 10-15 minutes into the talk. Right. I was saying that like the ideas of this experiment with Russian is when I teach Andrew Russian that we check if a lexical approach actually works with other languages. And again, some of the ideas I'm going to be sharing today, we experimented with Russian too. So let's get going. To prepare for this talk, like 2 years ago, I did a survey. I asked two groups of teachers. As you can see, there are two slides, two screenshots here. First, I asked English teachers of English first, no matter Russian speaking or English speaking, the language didn't matter. But obviously, I was asking the colleagues I know, so mainly those who were answering, here were mainly Russian-speaking teachers of English. Yeah, so this is the survey page in English. And I also did the exactly same survey in Russian to ask the teachers of Russian as a foreign language. Mainly the people who were answering here were like native speakers of Russian, teaching Russian to other people. Okay, do you get the idea? Okay, super, brilliant. So in this survey, I asked some like basic ideas about how you use the authentic materials in class and what you understand authentic materials are. And I got about 60, like 50 something responses for each page. Okay, 54, 50, 56. So more or less the same numbers. The first question obviously was, do you use authentic materials in class? And you see the answer is yes for both groups, like the majority. The no's were like either I don't teach at all or something like I teach very low levels or something. Then I asked, like you can see here, the second question, what does authentic materials stand for you? And how do you explain this term to someone who hears it for the first time in their life? So the answer is in English that authentic materials are material that is not designed to be used in class, materials meant for native speakers, not for language learners, blog, podcasts only made by natives, created for native speakers, written and said by native speakers to native speakers, yada, yada, yada. So the same in Russian, для носителей неадаптированные, созданы носителями, видео, аудио с носителями. So, basically direct translation in both. So this would be the answers. So basically the definition that we can draw from all this, like the way the teachers understand what authentic materials is materials created by native speakers, for native speakers, and not designed for learning a language. Would you agree that this is the definition you generally follow? Would you say yes, this is something like that, basically this is the standard understanding of authentic materials? Yeah, no, I would say people are nodding, those who are with cameras. Okay, super. This is basically, I think, what I remember I was taught again. And I believe that this definition creates a problem that we've already came across today, that in the end, because of this definition, teachers waste time on Googling instead of CPD, instead of, just relaxing. And in the end, they end up bringing irrelevant materials of inappropriate level to their class. This is how I see this problem at this point. And I have a solution that we should use more of authentic for the classroom materials, which is different from the standard understanding of authentic materials, and that we can produce them ourselves based on our students' needs. So bear with me, and I will explain what I mean. I can see that the definition is familiar to everybody. So this definition, I'm going to take it by parts and question and argue about every part. First, created by native speakers. First problem here is, how do I choose the materials? It should be created by native speakers. So does anybody know this amazing series called Devious Maids? Yes, no, okay. Well, it's like when you've already watched Desperate Housewives and, you know, Sex and the City, and you need something of the same style, you run out of options, you find Devious Mates. And the thing with this series, it's produced in English, but all the leading actresses, basically practically everybody there, they are Latin American speaking, Latin American origin, I think, actresses, and the main actress is actually Puerto Rican. So they speak with this strong Latin accent. I just adore it. I love it. But here's the problem. If, for example, my students like series and I would like to recommend Devious Mates to them, I can't, because these ladies are so obviously not native speakers, right? So I can't really recommend this material. So it's not good as a choice of authentic materials to class. Then, for example, I was like, we were talking about animals. There's a unit about animals on Outcomes Elementary. And I saw this lovely post by Dmitry Nikitin a couple of years ago. Basically, this is just so nice because the story behind this, that there is a fox in Dmitry's garden in London, and that was the day when they realized that the fox that they like kind of loved already, took care of, turned out to be not a he-fox as they thought, but a she-fox, because the fox brought a baby and introduced this baby to Dmitry Nikitin. And so he wrote a post about this. So would this post be a good, you know, choice for me to bring in class or not?
We were absolutely positive he was a boy. We were absolutely positive that was a boy, but then he gave a birth to some babies.
Well, you know.
Then it happened to the squirrel whose name was Boris, and then she came to our garden pregnant, and we had to change the name to Borisina.
See, and again, we have it on record by Dmitry Nikitin, but again, you know, can I bring this material into class if I'd like to share something fun and nice with my students about animals? Or there is this lovely post by Animal Planet channel, you know, where like a tiger and bears like are making like friends, you know, and it's so very lovely. So obviously, if I stand by that definition, I will not be bringing Dmitry's story or the story about squirrel, because this is not produced, it's not created by a native speaker. Dmitry is not a native speaker. And then I need to be choosing the Animal Planet channel, no matter the text, right? Just because of the author. Then again, for example, right, I teach teachers, teachers teach teachers, and like we have lessons and we speak about, I don't know, lexical approach. And then there is this lovely interview that Paulina Kordik did with Andrew Walkley, like, whoo, in 2019, so long ago. So imagine me giving an instruction to my students in class if I tell them to watch a bit of this interview. I will have to tell them, okay, my dear listeners, we're going to watch a video. There will be two people talking, Andrew and Paulina, but this is an authentic materials lesson. So please disregard whatever Paulina says, because she's not a native speaker. Just don't listen to her. And Andrew Walkley, yes, listen to him, everything that he says, and please write down the chunks. Okay? Does it sound like normal? Yeah, can we give this instruction to our students? No, this is absolute nonsense, right? Because I mean, both are great speakers of English, both and like even if we disregard the language, right? The ideas, we'll listen for ideas for both people, no matter what their mother tongue is. So like this is obviously a weird thing, and it's great. It does create a problem. How do we choose? What do we choose? And I'm just surprised that Dmitry Nikitin is not native, right? So we don't know that. And I mean, even if we talk about the YARConf conference and the meetup today, we can't call it authentic, right? If we wanted to share these materials with anybody, because I'm not a native speaker, you guys are not native speakers of English. Why on earth we're speaking English, I have no idea, right? Because this is all completely inauthentic and can't be used in class, even if we wanted to, even if you're teaching teachers, right? Because this is not authentic. So to me, it sounds a bit like nonsensical. So that's why I'm not happy with the definition, with it, like starting with the very beginning. The second problem is this. Obviously, I took it a bit over the top with my examples, but I do believe that proves my point. But the second problem, even like bigger than that, is that it's demotivating. To me, it is demotivating. So for the teacher, so it brings like this thought in class that the teacher is not good enough to produce natural language, right? We need to be bringing something else. But let's now forget about the teacher for a second and think about the student. What message it sends them? It sends them a message that, like, don't even bother learning a language, because even your teacher cannot produce something that is authentic, right? So, like, why would it, like, what hopes does the student have, right? Even if the teacher is not good enough, like, to be put into class, like the language of the teacher to observe and to learn from. I think it's seriously demotivating. And the third problem is, of course, as we've already mentioned, teachers waste time. If they want to bring a bit of an authentic material in class, they need to Google, yeah? So I asked my respondees, what do you do if you need authentic video text? And the same in Russian. And the answer was, I surf the internet, I Google, I go to YouTube, search on the net. But the thing that struck me most here, that native speakers of Russian, let's just use this term for now, okay? Just to prove the points. Native speakers of Russian, ищу в интернете, ищу в соцсетях, you know? So native speakers of Russian are not producing texts for their Russian class. This is what, like, mind-boggling to me. Ищу в интернете, поиск, you see? So it's all about this. And the reason I added this question into the form was because I actually, like, follow some Facebook groups for Russian teachers of Russian as a second language, and I heard some, like, I literally saw the post and said, I didn't screenshot it, something asking something, коллеги, а как найти текст про весну для уровня pre-intermediate? I was like, oh, come on, you write it like faster. You will write it faster than this post. Why are you looking for it? This is so weird. But anyhow, that's the problem. So it's not about your mother tongue per se. It's about the understanding of authentic materials. Yeah. Okay. So the third problem is that no matter what happens, the text you bring, so we usually take a piece out of somewhere. We can't bring the whole bit into class, right? So there are no short materials like that. Anyway, it will be taken out of the context. So all the like everything around that will be lost. And we know that, like, taking things out of context is not a very good idea. And also, on top of that, it does not really fit the classroom materials, because the language is different, the intonation is different, and everything. Well, now it's a bit better in a way with all the AI, and you kind of can, like, adapt you can take the language from class and create that bit of text, but I haven't seen, like, a nice piece of that at all anyway. But still, like, you know, it's not there, it's out of context, and it brings us, like, usually when we work with emergent language, the teachers always ask me, like, oh, Anita, there's so much of emergent language in class, but how do we recycle it? And usually when teachers bring extra texts into class, nobody cares how you're going to recycle the language there, right? This is also surprising for me. Why the language that students have produced kind of has to be dismissed as language to work with, because we need to recycle it. But if we bring the whole, like, page into class, we focus on some bits there, but we forget about the rest of the language. So I don't see really the point there. Then the next problem, that of the definition created by native speakers for native speakers, we end up with the next problem. So we know we all usually laugh about, like, the phrase that we learn at school, that London is the capital of Great Britain, right? This is, like, what's a phrase that every learner of English knows by heart, and they can say it anyway. And we make laugh of it, like, we make laugh of our school system for, like, teaching this to our, like, not to ours, but to everybody in the country. But I believe that by bringing so-called authentic materials in class, we actually do the same, because we speak about foreign stuff. We speak about the UK, maybe in better chunks than London is the capital of Great Britain, but we still speak about this context. So we speak about politics, we speak about their, I don't know, culture, we speak about their language. So when I went to London in 2018, I think, I went kayaking on the Thames, and it was one of the best experiences in my life. But I was stuck in a boat with this amazing gentleman, a 70-year-old lawyer from South London, and the trip was, like, about 2 or 3 hours. And I think, like, finally, like, hour 2 or 3, he said, like, from the back, he said like, Anita, I'm sorry, like I need to ask you, like, what do you think of your president? And I was like, okay, I'm in a boat, you know, I need to say something to this person. But it's not only about like I mean, now of course it's even harder to discuss all that stuff, but still, I was prepared by that time maybe to speak about British politics more than I was prepared to speak about Russian politics. Do you ever discuss Russian politics in class? No. But that's what the students will be speaking about, actually, because nobody will ask them, what do you think of Margaret Thatcher or Winston Churchill, right? They will ask about, like, you live in Russia, tell me about what's happening there. And you're like, oh my God, okay, we have a president. Like, what else do I say? I don't know, right? So this is, again, the same kind of context that our students need to be ready for. The fourth problem, I actually already ran ahead and mentioned this, that this bit that we bring into class, calling it authentic, doesn't really fit into our like learning space, because it's the language is different, the format is different, everything is different, only the topic is the same, but it's not there. So I think the solution for problem number 4 will be actually to accept the fact that a class is a class. We don't have to pretend that we're just here to have fun, guys. We're here to speak about some cool stuff like London Underground and thing. My students, my adult students, know that they come to me to learn the language, and I know that I come to them to teach the language. So I need to pretend, I don't need to pretend that we're doing something else. So it's okay to have like a lesson, to have learning materials, and to work with something designed for language learning. I don't really understand this point of not designed for language learning. That's what I do in class with my students. We learn the language. So the final like kind of part of this problem is that the level is inappropriate. Okay, so does anybody here speak Hebrew? I hope not. No. Okay, brilliant. Yay, out of 2 people with cameras. No, nobody. I don't speak Hebrew at all, you know. I have some Jewish blood, but I don't speak Hebrew. But right now we're going to have an authentic...
אני רוצה בסדר, אניטה.
Okay,
מה שלומכם?
Please ban Mitch Nikitin from this session. I don't like him anymore. Wow, I didn't know you do that. But maybe he just said some nonsense. We don't know, right? Nobody's there to prove that Mitch Nikitin was actually speaking Hebrew. So anyhow, we're going to do a bit of an authentic materials lesson. Okay, I'm going to even like zoom it in for you. Okay, guys, so you don't speak Hebrew, but I'm going to teach you some Hebrew today. Okay, so look at this picture, please, and tell me what is it about? What's the what can this be about? What's the topic of this bit of news?
Safety measures, like
safety measures, yeah. Health, yeah. So obviously the talk was done 2 years ago, so it was easier to answer that. Is about the COVID thing, right? So something about that. Yeah, COVID, Elizaveta says. Yeah. So let's look at this picture here. So what do you think this word means? I can zoom it.
Mask? Facial
mask? Mask, yeah, mask. And this?
Vaccination?
Vaccination, probably, yeah. This?
Keep a distance.
Distancing. Yeah, and we all are going to be
antivirus.
Safe, yeah, safe from COVID. Yeah. So, yay, guys, congratulations. You can speak Hebrew now, just a little bit, but now you know 4 different words, so like go and use them. Okay. And if I did know some English, I would actually voice these words for you, and you would be repeating after me like something. Aren't we supposed to answer in Hebrew too? Anita says. Well, I mean, I'm not a real teacher of Hebrew, so not at this point. But again, so basically, this is a joke. This was a joke. But if you, if you go to like authentic, like there are some like beliefs that you can and should maybe teach like without using your mother tongue, just using the authentic materials or like some language, only the language that you learn, you're going to have a very similar type of lesson that I actually feel really frustrated with, because when I'm a language learner, I want to understand every bit of the text that my teacher has brought to me. Because if, for example, I'm learning French now, and if my teacher Irina brings a piece of text into class, I will read it all. and I will ask her questions about everything. I'm not happy with like, oh, you look at the, you find the date in the text, which is like 1975. Oh, you can now understand when, like, what the time of the text was like speaking about. That's nonsense. That's just, you know, that's just a trick that I don't really appreciate as an adult learner. And if the teacher brings the text in class, I believe that actually they want me to understand everything, and I feel the right that I have the right to understand everything. That's why they ask for translation of everything. So the next problem is hard to recycle. We already mentioned that. What do we do with this like language that we bring, extra material? So to sum up, I believe that teachers waste time on Googling instead of CPD, instead of like going to a bath, I know, shower, hanging out with friends, spending all day preparing for a 90-minute lesson, as it was mentioned. And they end up bringing irrelevant materials of inappropriate level to their class. And I'm not a big fan of that. Then the relevant question is here, why we think we need authentic materials, right? So we don't want to cancel the idea altogether without finding the rationale. So the rationale here is to show how the language works, to demonstrate real language, real life examples, реальное использование языка, делать язык не мертвым, живой язык. This is, like, I mean, this is all super, super valid, right? This is a very good reason for doing something in class. I only have the question here, why the rest of the language you have in class is not real? Like, do you speak not real English when you're a teacher? What's wrong with your course book? I mean, right? Like, it's not real, or what's happening? I do understand that the course books are very, very different. As a freelancer, I'm, you know, free to choose the course book I like. But if you look at, like, at the majority of modern course books, they have real, authentic language right in the course book. You don't need to Google for it anymore. So I believe that this rationale is a bit outdated. It comes from the times when, like, maybe, I know, 30, 40 years ago even, yeah, not too long ago, the teachers and the students, nobody had internet. They didn't have access to the real, like, materials. So yes, the language was a bit kind of, the language learning process was a bit separated from the real life English, but not anymore now. My students can watch any series they want on Netflix. They can watch their own YouTube. They can watch, I don't know, videos for adults and learn some language there. I don't mind, they're adults, right? But they don't need me to do that. They can do it on their own with the help of the resource, and they can actually watch what they like. As I mentioned with my CELTA example, I brought them the text I liked because basically I knew what I liked, but I have no idea what my students really like and what video they would appreciate watching. So I would like us to shift from, like, the term authentic, which to me means nothing, to the term authentic for the classroom. And this idea is actually not new. I think I first saw it in Michael Lewis's The Lexical Approach. Obviously, that book changed my life. But this, for example, quote is from Henry Widowson talk at TESOL Quarterly in 1998, mind you. And he says the language cannot be authentic because the classroom cannot provide the contextual conditions for it to be authenticated by the learners. So the language that is authentic for native speakers cannot possibly be authentic for learners. If we say, tell our students, okay, listen to this talk that happened between two students on London Underground. My students have never been on London Tube. You know, they don't really know what's happening. So we're taking that out of context, out of life, and we take the life away of that conversation. So what he says about the solution is to the problem again, yeah, that we foist authentic user text on the learners, and the learners can get really upset because they don't understand what's going on, and they can get angry and frustrated. And he suggests, like, not doing that. And he has some ideas on how to make the language of the classroom to be more effective. I have some ideas on top of his ideas, so I'm going to share my ideas of what we can do. So my solution to this, like, complicated problem coming from this understanding of authentic materials, to do this: come to class as a teacher, you come to class, you listen, you notice what your students are trying to say, you create some material based on that, and then you can play around and interact with the material you created on the spot. Let me give you an example. So this is from my student elementary some years ago. He was complaining me on because the fridge wasn't working. His fridge is usually very, very loud. So I noticed that something is wrong. His room is very quiet. So this is a dialect that we were trying to have. Obviously, we didn't have this dialect. So, and obviously my elementary student never said this phrase. He made some mistakes. He said something in English, but I believe it could have looked like this, you know? So I wrote it down. And then I wrote down our dialect, just right in class while listening and typing. I'm very good at typing these days now. So, and then after this whole sharing procedure, and after our dialogue, I share my screen, I show him the text that he tried to say, I show him the dialect that we tried to have, voila. I believe this to be authentic for this particular classroom and much better than any dialogue on broken fridges I could have brought from somewhere else. So when I say authentic texts, I don't mean texts like long reads, you know, several passages and articles. Even a sentence to me is like a authentic text. For example, this is from my Russian teaching experience. Я пишу текст для онлайн-курса, obviously, like an A1 student didn't say that. Я снимаю видео для онлайн-курса. So I listened, okay, and I came up with some bits. So it doesn't have to be coherent, even can be separate sentences. Okay, so first we write, second, so we can do this in class. Second, audios. Again, like I'm not a big fan of spending hours on Googling. So this is my favorite example. I will never be tired of mentioning it. This is from Outcomes Pre-Intermediate. This was like a series of blog posts in the book. Actually, Andrew says that he wrote this page and all the stories are true and all the stories are about him. Well, I didn't know it back then, but when my student, a very organized guy, he said like, wow, Anita, there are so many stories of people missing a flight, but this is not true. This is only written for a book because an adult person in their right mind will never miss a flight. And I was like, wow, well, they can't, I mean, people miss flights. And he asked me like, have you ever missed your flight? I said like, no. He says like, well, me neither. So that's it. 100% of adults in this room never miss their flight. And I thought, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong next time. So just right after the class, I text some of the people I know. So it's easier for me. I have a blog, but basically at that time, I just texted some people like, have you guys ever missed a flight? If you have, please record a little audio for me. And like the evening that day, I had like 6 audios here on people sharing how they missed the flights. Or like there was one about missing a train, actually. Well, doesn't really matter. So next time I come to class and tell him, like, you know, Vadim, I asked my friends, and there are like 5 people at least who missed the flights, and they've shared, you know, their stories with me and with you, for you. And he was like, no, this can't be possible. Like, you know, these people, they really miss their flights. And he was like, he was listening. Like, actually, I overdid it then because we spent all lesson. He spent all lesson listening to me. He was like, no, don't touch me. I will listen, because he wanted to understand every word of it, because it was like, for him, it was, oh my God, it's just unbelievable. So he listened, he asked for every word, he wrote down some ideas. You know, you will never listen that carefully to something that's unrelated, you know, something from somewhere brought by someone. So yeah, so you create audios, you can bring them to class. You sometimes can exchange audio messages with your students. I'm not a big fan of audio messages, but I'm a big fan of using audio messages for learning purposes. You can do videos. So here's an example of a video chat we have with a student. You can see her face. She's really sad because I asked her, like, how's your English? It was after, like, about a year after we've had a class, but I sometimes check on my students and, well, no. And we exchanged some video messages. So this one, I recorded in Russian. We talked with Andrew about a room, and we had some text in the book. And then after the lesson was over, I just took my phone, I turned the video on, I recorded about like some places in my room. It took me, I don't know, 5 minutes. Or this one, we used to meet up at a cafe with my offline students. Now they live in Portugal. So I came to the cafe on my own. I saw that the owners of the cafe redesigned it in an awful way. So I just recorded like, guys, this is our cafe. Look what happens. This is totally crazy. Tell me what you think about it, and so on. So again, doesn't take time at all. You just watch it. So like to sum up, it took me a bit longer, and we started a bit later, but still took me a bit longer. To sum up, what do you think I believe are the sources of authentic, like natural language in class? Who can tell what I believe? So if I no, well, let's not bring any foreign, like any for native speakers something. Students need, yes, this, I believe that students are the source of authentic language. The only thing is that sometimes it's not, you know, accurate in terms of like grammar and vocabulary. So the teacher has two roles. The teacher can actually upgrade students' language and make it sound authentic and natural, right? Just rewriting their phrases. The teacher, yeah, so the students provide the context, the teacher provides the good language, and I do believe that it's a student's book, that if you can choose it. So these are some teachers from the Dmitry Nikitin school. Like, I just wanted to make a point. Basically, if, for example, if you teach lower levels, then you as a teacher—
left, Anita, two are left.
Two are left. Okay, but they're still teachers, right? You didn't kill them or anything. They're alive, teaching somewhere. So anyhow, I do believe that the teacher is basically the main source of authentic, natural language in class. And it's like, just embrace it. You don't need to Google yourself. You're already there. So I would like to sum up with the idea that what you create together with your students is the most authentic thing they're going to read, hear, or watch in class. Thank you so much. I can see a comment that also ChatGPT can help to make the speech sound more authentic, but maybe, but when you're like, usually the things that I do with my students, and I do it just in class, I just type it. So I think I do it faster and better than ChatGPT for now. Thank you so much. I'm Anita Modestova. You know how to find me, probably. This is like my, okay, this is a presentation from 2 years ago. So the sources you must not name in Russian, but you know, like I'm still
Anita,
there.
don't be boring in front of people.
Well, I don't know. I'm still not sure about this, but anyhow, I'm there. Here I speak Russian, here I speak English. Please follow me. Actually, right now I'm running a series of 30 lives in Russian in this Instagram account. I speak about some stuff relevant for teachers and especially freelancers. Whew.
So thank you, Anita. Breathe in, breathe out, dear. Breathe in, breathe out. So there will be some time for Anita after her meditation yoga exercise. She needs a minute for that. And before that, I wanted to share a podcast for free with you. It's in comments now, where on Yandex Music, we are talking like for 1 hour with Anita about time management techniques. And that's a great podcast I really like, and we share quite a lot of time management techniques. Then the next one I wanted to share with you is a link to our unique report, which we created at the Dmitry Nikitin School, and we analyzed 12 language schools all over Russia and Belarus. And there is a link to a report, which we are selling for very reasonable money. And basically we analyzed 12 language schools. And if you are in language business, if you charge your learners, if you take their money, yeah, for your service, you may be interested in this report. The report is described on a web page. And then the most aggressive marketing I really have to do, it's a link to Yarkonf. They told me specifically not to forget that. Welcome to Yarkonf. Remember, if you are not at Yarkonf, you are not in ELT for 1 year. So that's sad to miss Yarkonf, because it's one of the most influential ELT conferences in the world, which is taking place in Yaroslavl in the middle of August. And Lena, there are flights from Kazakhstan. I've been Googling while Anita was talking. There are a lot of flights from Kazakhstan to Moscow, and then trains from Moscow to Yaroslavl. I also asked friends who did it. They work. So good. I also work stand-up comedians from Kazakhstan, and they joke quite a lot about frequent flights. So I know there are flights. So welcome to your conf, and Anita is going to be present there, and Alexi is going to give a plenary talk, not on authentic materials, but on CPD, and a lot of lovely people are going to be there, and the program is superb, and Yaroslav is going to be wonderful in August, and I promise to be there in a good mood. So, good. If we have any questions to Anita, we can ask, and I think we can stop the recording now.
I'd like to do a bit of promotion